Welcome to the Anime Bucket Quest! Let's get started!
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Anime Bucket Quest as we quest through the top 100 bucket lists before you kick the bucket. I'm your host, Stefan Chais, and today's anime is another tearjerker. Sorry, this is a fourth tearjerker in a row. So if you ask any anime fan to name a series that made them cry, there's 90% chance that Anohana is on their list. This is the most famous and effective tearjerkers ever made. And honestly, it's like really plays with your emotions. If you're not familiar with Anohana, it was released in 2011. It's an anime original series from Studio A1 Pictures, known for animes such as Your Lie in April and Kaguya-sama Love is War. It's the work of a creative team called the Super Peace Busters, which includes writer Mario Okada. Okada is famous for writing raw, messy, and intensely human emotional drama. Anohana is arguably her most defining work. It's about 11 episodes, so this is crucial because it is short, perfectly paced story with zero filler. Pretty much the premise is it's our hero, Jinta or Jintan Yadomi, is a high school dropout and a shut-in, or known as a hikikomori. His summer's interrupted when he starts seeing the ghost of his childhood friend, Maiko Memna Hanma, who died in an accident years ago. Problem is, Memma can't pass on to the afterlife until she has a wish granted. The problem? She doesn't remember what the wish was. To figure it out, Jinta, the only one who can see her, must do the impossible, reunite their old broken group of childhood friends known as the Super Peace Busters. So pretty much what the plot entails of this anime is the whole overall core theme of it, it's guilt. It's not just grief. This is the most important point. They aren't just sad that Mando died. Every single one of them feels responsible. You have Jinta, who's kind of like who is the leader. His guilt is over his last words to Memna. He called her ugly out of embarrassment and ran away. He never got to apologize, so that's one of his biggest regrets. Then you got Anaru, who's known as the follower. Her guilt is from her deep-seated jealousy of Memna. She felt a bit of relief when Memna died, a dark feeling that has haunted her ever since. Because I believe that her jealousy, because she had feelings for Jinta. And because Memna kept hanging on to Jinta, that's where the jealousy shoots in. Because like I said, this happened during their childhood. Now they're like in high school, they're older. Then you got Yukiyatsu, who's known as the Obsessed. He is the most visually broken. He confessed his love to Memna and was gently rejected just before she died. His grief is so twisted that he can't let her go, leading to the infamous scene where he cross-dresses as Memna, trying to become the ghost Jinta sees. Then we got Saruku, who's known as the Observer. She's the quiet one, but her guilt is just as deep. She's in love with Yukiyatsu, but her jealousy of Anaru, who Yasu tries to use as a replacement, and her own perceived inaction has trapped her. Then you got Papo, who's known as the Witness. He seems the happiest, traveling the world, but it's all an act. He's the only one who saw Memna's final moments. He saw her fall into the river. He's been running from the trauma ever since. Then, of course, you got the one that kind of brings it all together. The core of the group is Memna, the living ghost. She isn't just a quest giver. She's the embodiment of their shared past. She has to, quote, die again, but this time they have to let her go together. So this is about this. It works with the spirituality, how they say in the paranormal, how ghosts are tied to certain places and they can't move on because something in their lives, is holding them back that they very regret. This is kind of similar how Angel Beats was, where all the teenagers had different regrets that they couldn't done in the previous life, and they try to accomplish it now. Here is where a single spirit is being anchored or held down by her friends because each of them have a deep-seated regret towards Memna, and the only way that Memna can pass on is for them to finally, let her go, so that way she can pass on. So this is where the anime itself, even though it's 11 episodes, it's running short, but the pacing is the core theme is the selfishness of grief. The show's brilliant argument is that holding on to the dead isn't always about honoring them. It's often selfish. Yukiatsu wants Memnon to haunt him, not Jintan. Jintan at one point doesn't want to grant her wish because he'll be alone again. Because you gotta understand, he became a shut-in after what happened because he has that deep-seated regret that you know calling Memnon ugly. So he has the regret. So he decides, I'm gonna be socially inactive. I'm gonna stay in. While Yukiatsu, who has feelings for Memnon, wants to go over the fact that he was never able to perfect, even though he was rejected by her, he still can't go over his unrequited love for her, and uses Honoru as kind of like a replacement, even though the other girl in the group, Tsuruko, has feelings for him. Then you got the iconic soundtrack, the opening. Aoi Shiori is fantastic, but the ending theme, Secret Base by Kimi ga Kurata Mono, it's a legendary theme. It's a cover of an old Japanese song about friends reuniting after 10 years, and it's used with devastating effectiveness. What really paid off for this anime when it comes to the emotional core is the climax, the final scene. It's the entire payoff. The group has its final explosive tear-filled confrontation, confessing all their ugly, selfish feelings. This act of honesty is what finally allows them to all see Memna for the first and last time. And it really has that payoff. So we get to explore all their secret regrets. Like I said, Memna sees Jintan, and all of them, like, she can manipulate stuff. And what was cool about it, they were able to discover that she was able to communicate with them by writing in their diary. So she was able to communicate back and forth. But you get to see how these friends, how they lost their connection over the last 10 years after not seeing her, after her death, and how she became the catalyst for them to reunite again and try to move on with their lives with different things holding them back. So let me give you my critique of this anime. You know, let me give you my high points. What I believe is about the anime. It's the emotional pacing. A masterclass. Episodes of escalating emotional tension, which I did like. It wasn't like Angel Beats where it felt rushed and we all got a glimpse of, all the characters' past. Here, it plays with every character of the friend group and shows what happened to Memna, but also how her death affected all of them individually and how they were trying to cope with her death but can't seem to move on. What I love about this, it gives enough time for each character to go through their raw emotions and find a way to help them pass on. So that's why I like the pacing. It's not fast, it's not quick. It makes you kind of want to cheer for them and be happy for them to finally get over their regret. And also, you do want to cheer for Memna to finally for her spirit to go on and rest for the last time. It's the character conversations. The final episode is one of the most satisfying, complete emotional resolutions in anime. The realization where they finally grant her wish. The final, it was a relief for all the characters. They could finally move on after finally helping Memna accomplish her final wish. They're able to move on with their lives. So it has like all this character development throughout the series has the biggest payoff. What I love about it is the realism when it comes to the drama. The character's jealousy, anger, selfishness feels painfully real. I love it. It's like you feel with the characters that raw emotion, how they feel, after passing of a childhood friend. And like I said, once again, coping with loss, but also trying to bury that deep side of regret while they're trying to move on with their lives. But at the same time, I realized they just lost connection with everybody else in their group. So you had like, both friends going at each other because all these deep seating feelings they had back then are finally coming out in the open. My biggest criticism is for it. Is it melodramatic? I would say this is only the real critique. Honestly, the characters cry. That's the one thing you will have to deal with. They cry a lot. They yell. They have dramatic confessions. For some viewers, it's a melodrama. For others, it's a perfect portrayal of long repressed teenage anger. This is a great point. Like honestly, that was like my thing about it. That was my biggest criticism because with the fact that I did applaud for the realistic, like drama, but it felt to me it was like over the top. It's like I said, they get real shoddy, they get real emotional, they cry a lot. So it's kind of I understand the trauma in this thing, but I felt that it was over the top. It was exaggerated, but that's what makes it unique because of the short format. My thing, does this belong to this bucket list? Do I agree? I would say without seeing doubt, yes, it is a benchmark for modern sad anime. It's not just sad for the sake of it. It's a powerful story about how unprocessed guilt can shatter lives and how only painful total honesty can heal them. It's an essential watch. You know, after all the 11 episodes, the friends finally find her. And one of the most famous scenes in the anime history, they play one last game of hide and seek, ending with the only words that mattered. Memna, we found you. Because apparently that's what happened. They try looking for her, she ended up falling in the river. So having that emotional payoff really helped solidify this anime. And it's something that can be enjoyed. Like I said, if you definitely do like tearjerkers, this one is right up your alley. If you love drama, you love like that slice of life, but also with the paranormal esque of unrequited regrets, unrequited love. This anime is just for you. If you thought the sitcom Friends plays with emotion, this kind of reminds me of Friends, but more with their emotions upgraded to at least level 10 proportions. I enjoy watching it. Yes, I did feel sad when I watched the anime because it did play with my emotions. It made me sad because it's like, you know, you you messed up something in your childhood and you don't have the ability to go back and refix things, but you can't go back and redo the past, but you can find a way to in the future to try to help, move on, let your emotions go, let your feelings out. But this thing kind of plays with anxiety and depression a little bit because, like I said, each character played, each of them were traumatized by this event, and it shows you how each of them kind of tried their best to move on, but had something still linking to her and chained to Memna. And I felt great for Jinta because now he's no longer the shut in. He's finally going out more. He's going to school again. So he's starting to be social again, connected with his friends again. So even all of them finally found some semblance of peace in mind and able to move on with their lives. But what I felt for Memna more is the fact that now she's no longer tied to the world. It's sad that she has to leave, but now she can move on without having any regrets for her lives, and she had the opportunity to say goodbye to her friends one last time. So definitely, this is something I definitely recommend. It does belong on the bucket list. I can see why it's in the top 4, but definitely when you have an opportunity, check it out. Anohana is available to view on Crunchyroll and maybe other streaming platforms. Like I said, hope you enjoyed this short review. Hope you like this short format episode. If you enjoyed this episode and many more, make sure to follow me on Instagram at the franchise. At the franchise, you can follow the episodes on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple, and other platforms. You can also follow the podcast on YouTube at youtube.com/anime bucket quest. Thank you very much for joining me this week. Come again next week as we attack the next anime in our bucket quest. Is one of the most popular animes out there, and it's something that's going to, who knows how long the episode is going to be. I'm talking about the one that plays with your emotions, the simple goal to wipe out every Titan. If you know what I'm talking about, make sure to follow me. That way you're prepared to see what I'm talking about next. As always, geek on, take care, and watch anime.